Hello, and thank you all once again for tuning into another episode of Outside the Box. In case this is your first time watching, my name is at the bottom of the screen says Sage the Coach, aka Stephanie K. I am a certified life and relationship coach. Of course, I'm a podcast host. I'm an author. I'm a mother. I got a lot of stuff going on, business owner, things like that. But anyway, I've been doing this podcast for a little bit over a year now, and I call it Outside the Box because I like to help people see that God is bigger than the boxes that we usually put him in. And so I cover a variety of topics to kind of really expound upon that idea. And they usually, I don't want to say weird situations, but tough situations that people get in, and you're not understanding how God is working in the situation or how he can get you out of the situation. People expect God to come and do things in a certain way, and they think when he doesn't, that they're doing something wrong, they're being punished, maybe they're not Christians, the normal challenges that we have navigating life and our faith. And so I just like to use this show to give people some encouragement and some insight on how to deal with these difficult things and how God can still help you in them, even when you're the one wrong, right? Because we sometimes create our own messes. So anyway, so the topic that I have for today is Christianity the right religion? And I have a passionate a place in my heart to discuss this, because nowadays you have so many different religions, so many different ideas of God floating around, which is nothing new, but it's definitely growing. And I just really wanted to pinpoint my opinion and my guest's opinion, which I'll bring out shortly, as to why we feel like Christianity kind of hit the nail on the head for us. And so just to give people some insight into that topic. And the guest that I have has been on my show several times. I'll bring him out shortly. But what I wanted to say before I bring him out is to please make sure you download or watch my show, because it's now available on all Apple products, all Android products, on Google Play. You can watch it through the app called The Entertainment Theater. There are also other independent creators and podcast hosts and shows like that on there as well. So please make sure you download that today. Show your support for us independent people trying to make our mark in the world. And again, you can find me on any Apple product or Google Play under the Entertainment Theater app. Also, make sure you like, follow, share my content, because I'm trying to encourage people, give them insight, but they can't get that if they don't know that I'm here. So thank you so much for doing that in advance. And I think that's it. So I'm just thinking in my mind, like, announcements. Okay, so I'll go ahead and bring my guest out, which is I always call him Mr. for some reason, Mr. J. Burroughs. And he's been on my show several times. The first show that we did was indicative of the poster behind him, his book called Porn, in which he talks about his getting set free from porn addiction. It's a very, very powerful book. I would advise anybody just read it, even if you didn't ever have the problem, because it really gives you an insight into how God helps us navigate through our struggles, the process that it takes, the things that you learn from it. And we all can relate to struggles. Like, it doesn't matter if it's porn or, we all know there's a lot of struggles out there. So, make sure you check that out. It's a blessing to read. And so, but he also has been on my show. We talked about relationships. We talked about what it means to be a Christian. We did many shows about does God send our spouses to us, and so we've had a lot of discussions. And so actually one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show is because every time we meet up afterwards, we talk for a long, long time about different stuff, and we always have these great conversations. And the last time we talked, it was about Christianity, how you kind of settled on Christianity. And I'm like, we really need to have this conversation where other people can witness it And so that was one of the ideas behind my show today. So thank you for the inspiration, Mr. Burroughs.
Okay.
But go ahead and introduce yourself once again for, of course, those who might have not have seen the past shows that we did. Let them know who you are and what you do.
My name is Jay Burroughs. I am the author of Porn, the Truth, the Whole Truth, and Nothing But the Truth, which is the big sign you see right behind me, and this book I hold right here. Also, I am a screenwriter. I am a speaker. I'm not going to say motivational anymore because I speak on different things. So,
Okay.
and usually it's always a positive spin on it regardless, but I speak on different things. I'm a director as well, currently directing a project that I wrote not too long ago. So I do a lot of stuff, and thank God for it, because without him inspiring me, I wouldn't be doing anything,
Yeah.
any of these things. So.
Yeah. And I was thinking when you said you don't do motivational speaking, that you're not going to say motivational anymore. It makes sense because some of the stuff you talk about is heavy,
Yeah.
and you probably wouldn't consider it motivational because you kind of have to face some things about yourself that you might not like or whatever. And so on the front end, it might not be motivational, but if you really get the message and you're ready to change, then it can motivate you in that direction. So I can see why you would kind of maybe take that off. So yeah.
It's a
So
thing where you change verbiage because you do so much, and when you get stuck in a box, like you say with your show, you get stuck in a box by putting certain titles on yourself.
yeah. So I just need to make sure I share this really quickly. So this is something that it's a topic that's kind of dear to my heart because I don't think I came to Christianity in the typical way. And a lot of times as a Christian, you just kind of get labeled as this Jesus nut and stuff like that. And people come to Christianity in all different sorts of ways. Even some people kind of see it as like being brainwashed and stuff like that. And so I always like to share my testimony as far as like how I came to God, because it wasn't in the typical way that most people would associate. And it's why I have remained a Christian all these years. And so your story is like that too. And I really think people can gain a lot from it, and understanding that, again, it's not this cookie cutter process. It's not this cookie cutter thing where you just grow up in church, So I really want to share those experiences with people, because we got too many Christians out here that gives you this fake cookie cutter idea of what it means to be a Christian. And I like to get down to the real stuff, and that's one of the reasons why I like your book. It's one of the reasons why I like you, because there's a level of realness there that is undeniable. And so can you talk a little bit about, so people understand what I'm saying about your own story, and then I'll share my own. How did you come to Christianity? Because you were dibbling and dabbling in other different religions before you finally came to Christianity. So if you can share that a little bit.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, like, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, in a small place called Marcy Projects. You may have heard of it. We produced a rap who's now a billionaire. So, and I actually grew up with him. But the thing is, like, growing up in the environment that I grew up in, you were exposed to a lot of different things. Sex, money, violence, but also religion. And the different various religions that we had around us were, like, I grew up with 5%ers, Muslims, Jehovah Witnesses, and there were Jews, Orthodox Jews, that lived right across the street from us. So you see a lot of different diversity.
Wow.
And, you were trying to always find a fit. I know most of us trying to find out who we are and what we're doing and what's the path that's right for us. So you're trying on these different hats, and you realize that certain things don't work for you. I did study Islam for a while, and I had a pretty good mentor. He was actually one of the last poets. If you ever heard of those guys, he was an original last poet. And he told me that, like, Islam in the practice here in the States is a lot different than what it is if you were going to the Middle East.
Okay.
Certain things get lost in translation, certain things get changed into, he was a Sunni Muslim, and to really be into it the way that he was and his family was, was a little different from what I've seen with other people. I also had a lot of 5%ers around me, so that, dabbling into some of those things. But
can you explain what 5%ers are for people who don't know what that is?
Okay, so the 5% nation is the nation of the gods and earth, and their belief system is a little different than what it's like an offshoot of Islam, but it's a little bit more different. And they believe that they're like chosen to be the teachers of the world.
Okay.
The 5% who have an understanding, but who can see everything. It's a whole different level of thinking for them. I don't have an exact book definition. I'd have to ask a couple of them that I know to give a complete book definition, but I don't. It's more about them ascending to the god and goddesses of the universe and being able to control things mentally from a certain perspective. Now, it's different. It's very different as far as religion is concerned, because it's a lot of things that happen in there that are a lot different. And if you don't understand your lessons and you don't know your lessons, it's a serious price to pay. It's very disciplined. So
okay.
You gotta know what you're talking about when you're dealing with guys like that.
Okay.
But my introduction into Christianity, my family members went to church all the time. But the thing is, I saw things in the church when I would go with them as a child, and I'm like, well, I didn't understand how this is related to Jesus in any kind of way. You're hooping and hollering, you're running around the church shouting and doing all this stuff. Then you get home and talk about everybody else like they're dogs and stuff, and it didn't make sense to me. But then that's when it sent me on my own path. And the thing that I learned from Islam and from 5%ers is trying to seek stuff for yourself. I did some Egyptology, the Hotep thing. I got into that, but there was the discovery. It was trying to find something. So it was like, you're looking into all these places and you're looking into all these different religions, but you don't see a fit. And it kept bringing me back to the Bible. A lot of things that I learned from even those various religions are taken from the Bible. It's just the dating and all that other stuff happening. The more I studied, the more it kept bringing me right back to the Bible. So I began to study the Bible. And as I took my walk with the Bible and started to understand the way God thinks and the way he does things through his word, there's no real way to have an experience with Christ and not be changed. And I learned that. You get into a relationship. And the biggest thing that when I decided to say, you know what, I'm tired of running, I'm tired of hiding, I'm tired of living the life that I'm living, let's give God a try. Let's give this so-called Christian thing a try, but let's give Jesus a try. Let's go ahead and try to form a relationship and see what happens. And that's what I did. And when I stepped out on that, the enemy has a way of trying to make you see all the things that you're missing. And you think that you're lacking something when you, after time, you realize that, wow, I'm gaining so much more in this walk than what I'm missing. But we as people, because we're in this flesh and we love the things of this flesh, we're so stuck on what we're missing. And that was the biggest thing for me. Stop worrying about what you're missing.
Wow. So a few things stood out to me in what you were saying, and then I want to kind of share my story a little bit. But it's funny to me because I hear a lot of people that are not Christian and that have never went to church, they will automatically have this expectation of Christians as far as like, if you're really serving God, then why are you lying? Or why are you backstabbing? Or why are you doing this? And I just ask myself, like, where did that expectation come from? Like, they just have this idea that if you are really somebody, if this is your true religion and you are following God, you should be a good person, period. And when you're not a good person, it's like, you know what, that's the problem with Christianity. Like, this can't be right because these people are not good people. And so it kind of just highlights to me that we understand innately without nobody teaching us that a God should be he should be good. He should be good. He should be nice. He should be loving. He should be caring. And when we don't see that, nobody teaches you that. But when you don't see that in people who claim to represent him, you're automatically put off by that. And so I just find that really interesting because I've seen that a lot. Like people who've never went to church and they see a Christian person and the person does something to hurt them. And they say, well, you can't be from God because look how you're acting. Well, who told you that God was not like that? Like, so we just have an innate, I would say, spiritual understanding. It's kind of sewn into us that we understand that if there's a God, he is good. And we expect people who say they represent him to be good as well. So what do you think about that? Or did I just go a little bit too far off the deep end right there?
No, I got you. I think the problem is that we see people not as people. If you say you're into a certain thing or a certain kind of religion, they see that you're supposed to be there already instead of going through a process. Yeah. We're all human beings, and you don't know where the person is in their walk. If I'm trying to be more like Christ, that means I'm not like him yet. Yeah, that's my aspiration. That's where I aspire to be. But unfortunately, I live in this suit. This is where I am right now. It may be where my eyes are focused on the goal, but I'm not there yet. And people see you as your journey. Somebody that's new to meeting you will not have the same perspective of you as somebody that's known you for years. The person that's known you for years, they know who you used to be. So that change that you have now in your walk, they're looking at you and saying, you've grown, you've changed. I see it because I know who you once were. But the person that's just meeting you now, all they're looking at is what flaws are you making now? What are you doing right now? Yeah. And, we're less than perfect. It's only by grace that we are able to move the way that we move and keep getting up. This is like one of the main reasons why I know a lot of people may not even look at this, that why does Satan hurt you? He hates you so much. Why does the enemy hate you so much? Because when he fell, it was over for him. He was disobedient. He got cast out. You fall, you can turn around and get up and you'll be forgiven. This is why he hates you so much. Why do you have something that I couldn't get? But I was so much higher than you. Because you should have known better.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, that's what it is. You should have known better. So the thing is, people always see you where you are, and then they look and scrutinize because you claim a certain thing. Oh, I claim to be Christian. People will not read the Bible, but they will watch you.
Yeah.
They'll watch you. Okay, well, you said you're a Christian. What do you do?
Exactly.
What's that in your cup? What are you drinking? Okay, you out here smoking. You out here cussing. What's coming out of your mouth? Which is true.
Yeah.
They are the shining examples, but we also have a human side. It's not all spiritual. It's a human side. We walk in this flesh like everybody else. And there are certain times, like someone always told me, if you want to know how far you are in your walk, God will always have a test for you. He's going to send people your way. You think you're so further along, you think you're here, you think you're there. And when you get tested and things start flying out of your mouth or you act, that shows you exactly where you are or where you're not.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I think this brings up a good point, which is that we really shouldn't use other people to make conclusions about God. Like, you really shouldn't. It's easy for us to do it. And even a whole group of people. I mean, even if you get into racism, if you come across a few bad blacks, that doesn't mean the whole entire race is just messed up. So whenever you get in a situation where you are judging the many by the few, you're already making a mistake right there. And so to me, it's more important. And it's one of the things that I like about your story is that you need to find out the truth for yourself. You don't need to go by the examples that you've seen in other people, what other people say. I mean, they can be useful tools, but we do have a responsibility to kind of seek out the truth for ourselves. So if you have any questions about Christianity, you shouldn't just look at the Christians that, especially the ones that are doing something wrong, and then make a whole conclusion about Christianity. You should, if you really want to be fair, if you want to look at it like a scientific thing, take different samples of different places, gather a consensus, you know what I'm saying, and then kind of draw a conclusion from there, but not to ever base the many on the few. Like, you really need to get more information than that. And so there's a lot of Christians that do a disservice to Christianity because they do terrible things in the name of Christianity, even slavery. Like, there were, during that period, there a lot of those what do you call those plantation owners, they were Christian and they were brutalized people. And so you just get this idea, but we really should try to seek the truth for ourselves and not go by what we're seeing in human beings, because like you say, we human beings are flawed and we don't do things right, and we are growing. So like you said, if you knew me 2 years ago, you could see the improvement, but you're just seeing me today and you're judging me on that. So we really need to kind of steer away from that.
Can I add to that real quick?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So you made up a valid point about how people shouldn't judge a religion by the people in it, things like that. This is the thing why
judge the few by the many.
Judge the few by the many. Yeah. This is why one of the reasons why I don't like religion at all, because it's a box that keeps you intertwined into something. Yeah. And it's based on control. Relationship is totally different.
Yeah.
Now, this is the thing. I remember a Muslim man once said this to me. He said, I wish I would have met Christ before I met the Christian.
Oh, wow.
The thing is, like I said, we're aspiring to be like the shining example that was left for us. We're not anywhere close to him. But the thing is, when people look at us, because we're claiming certain things, anybody can say that they're anything. Yeah. They can say, I'm a believer in this, I'm a believer in that. But what does God always tell you? Don't worry about the person's words. It's the fruit that shows.
Exactly. Yeah.
Watch their life. A person who you can go and see what people are into nowadays. You just get their phone. I go on your YouTube page. I can tell what you're into.
Yeah.
You know, your social media, it tells exactly what you're into.
Yeah.
You know, it's that's how things are set up nowadays. But the thing is, you aspiring to be more like Christ. So the person who's coming in to Christianity and wants to follow this as build a relationship with Christ, you need to find out about Christ, not anybody else. Their examples to you mean nothing.
Yeah.
It's him that you're aspiring to be like. So you have to read the word. You have to decipher things for yourself. You have to understand these examples to give you a facet and an understanding of how God thinks.
Yeah.
Even when we think we have it right, we don't. You're never learning. You're never going to get it. Revelation. He's giving you certain understanding. And that's what you pray for with the spirit that's moving you. He's saying you walk by the spirit, not by your flesh. Your flesh speaks at other people.
Exactly.
Goes deeper and says, okay, how do I connect to you?
Yeah. It's like me trying to get to know you through your daughter or your son. It's like, that's not me. You know what I'm saying? You maybe can find out a little bit, but that's not me. Like, and it's like, well, if you want to know me, talk to me. Like, why are you going through these other people? Just come and talk to me. And, you know, so there's a lot to that. And of course we can go into that. But one thing that I wanted to point out is that, you know, we are all looking, and I'm really big on seeking. And I think seeking is really underestimated. I think that's a very big part of our journey here in life, is to seek. The Bible says, seek and you shall find. And so we need to, everybody is seeking that goodness. So that's what I'm saying, even about people that claim to be Christian. I mean, people that are not Christian, but when they look at Christians and they don't see them doing good stuff, they automatically make the connection that there must be something wrong with this, because deep down we're all looking for that goodness. We know somehow that it exists. If anybody has it, God should have it. And so it's something that we're always seeking for, even unconsciously or subconsciously. We're seeking the truth. We're seeking, people are not always seeking truth, but we're seeking that goodness, that love, that understanding. And we just basically do that in our lives. And so if you take that to heart and you really seek in the right way and with your heart open, there's absolutely no way that you cannot find God. Like it's not even possible if you're really genuine. And so that's a piece of your story that kind of stands out to me because you're seeking. You looking under a rock, you looking in the bushes, but you're looking and you're looking. And if you're really, really looking for that thing in you that's like, there's some goodness out here, there's some truth out here, there's something out here that's deeper than what I'm seeing, you will find God. That's how I see it. So what do you think?
I mean, we're all born with a void.
Yeah.
In some way or another, whether it's like you come from a single parent home, now you're missing a father figure or a mother figure. You miss certain kind of affections. You're looking for a mate, a partner, or something. You're looking for something to fill a void. And usually the void is more within than it is outward.
Exactly.
Because you have people that come into your life that are supposed to be that thing that you were looking for, but it doesn't work out.
And they fail you, disappoint you. Yeah.
Right. So it's always something inward that you're looking for more than outward. And usually whenever you're trying to start something, like say you want to be in a relationship, and the first thing you need to work on is yourself. Because you're no good to anybody if you're not correct. You know, how can you love somebody if you don't love yourself? It's not possible. You wouldn't appreciate a person that's doing all these things for you if you don't appreciate your own self.
Yeah.
You have to reflect what you want. You know, it's even in the Bible is biblical principles. If you want a certain thing, you need to give it away first.
Yeah.
You have
which is the opposite of how we do things here on planet Earth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest thing. These principles are there. You know, you want something, you need love and affection, you need to show it to somebody else.
Yeah.
If you need somebody that's going to be able to spend time with you in a certain kind of way, you need to be giving that to somebody else because those energies draw what they are.
Yeah.
You know, you always say you draw yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're a negative person, you're going to draw negative people.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, what are you looking for and searching for? And the thing about Christianity is he's giving you an example of who he is because I came to you as a man and I went through everything that you're going to experience in this life. Failure, disappointment, you know, betrayal, everything. I've been through it, but also I showed love. I showed love to people who didn't even want to be bothered with me.
Right.
You know, so I did that. So you can't come back and say to me, oh, you don't know what I'm going through. Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're going through. I know way beyond that. There are things that I went through that you would never have to go through.
Right.
But it shows an appreciation. And this is what really drew me to Christianity was when I started to understand what Christ really went through and how God was thinking. You know, getting that understanding, I don't know anything, but I have an understanding of it. And the more I read and the more I study, the more I learn and things are being revealed to me. That's what revelation is. It's stuff being revealed to you. The curtain has been pulled back here. You can see these things now. You're at the point where, okay, I'll give you this knowledge. I'll let you understand this. I'll give you some understanding on these things and give you some more clarity on certain things. And that's what we really want. We want to know. We come into this life inquisitive. You know, a child is the most inquisitive thing in the world because they want to touch everything. Everything in their mouth because they're trying to figure this stuff out. What is
exactly. And that's why I think seeking is so important. But go ahead.
We're just like that. Even as adults, we still should be seeking. We still should be trying to gather understanding. You know, your path is your own. I can't tell anybody that this is the religion that's the all do all. Like God said, many are called, but chosen a few. If this is your lifestyle, he'll let you know. But there are going to be people who just say, you know what? I want to do my own thing. You look at the Bible, there were millions of them. They served other gods before the flood. There were other gods. If that's what you want to do, God has always been a gentleman. Have at it.
Yeah. Yeah, he will. And so, like, I like what you talked about the thing that pushes, like, us looking. We everybody's born with a void, like you said, and then you start looking for things outside of yourself first to try to fill that void, whether that's people, drugs, food, whatever. People have different habits, but at some point, it seems to me that you get to a place in life, if you get to that place, because some people don't, where you realize these things are not fulfilling that void that you have. And to me, that's usually when people start to gravitate more towards a spiritual understanding or religion, because they're trying to find something that will fill that void on a deeper level. And that's where kind of different religions come into play. So and some people settle on Islam, some people settle on I mean, it just really goes to show you, with throughout all of human history, we all are doing the same thing, because religion is everywhere. Like, it's in every culture, it's in every community. People who've never even heard of Christ, people who've never even heard of Islam, you see people in their even basest states. I mean, I used to watch those shows, well, the people who live like in Costa Rica and they off in the jungle, even they have belief system that's deeper than, the eye can see. So it's in our nature to try to find something to fill these voids and give us a deeper understanding of life. And you're going to do that regardless. You're going to do that whether you arrive at Christ or not. And so I think that's a really good point to make. And then we were talking about, I think we covered the other point. I have wrote it down, but we talked about judging people. Okay, so I want to share how I came to Christ. And so just to widen the perspective, get outside the box. I also grew up, my family was Christian when I was little. I remember us going to church, but it's very, very vague, because we were out of church by the time I was about 5 or 6 years old. My parents had threw in the towel because of some circumstances, which I'm not going to get into. It actually comes down to what we were saying about Christians not really representing, they just got completely discouraged and walked away. So that was it. When I was growing up, maybe I went to church about 10 times or so, but it wasn't a regular thing. It wasn't talked about in my house. I didn't hear anybody else talking about it. But I had always understanding of, like, there's a God, and this guy named Jesus has something to do with God. that's basically it. But it wasn't until my teen years where I was struggling with a lot of stuff, like big, heavy stuff for my age, that I really started looking for answers. I wanted to understand life. I didn't understand why it was so chaotic, so hurtful, so depressing, and I really started looking for answers. And so I would sit in a window in the night by myself, because I've always been a night owl, and I would just talk to whoever was up there. Like, hey, I don't know if you're real. I'm looking for answers here. Nobody has them. If anybody has answers, it has to be you, if you're there. So if you're there, can you please tell me you're there, so that now I can ask you all these questions that I have. And so I remember specifically, and I will add this, that I was on the verge of suicide, honestly. And so, but I had it in my mind that I need to try everything I can first, because then that way, when I kill myself, then I know that I really tried everything. And so it's like, okay, I guess I was giving myself an out. If I tried everything, it didn't work. Now I can do this. And so I'm like, okay, if you're there, I need to know you're there. And so there was a light in front of my window, a street light. And I was just like, just make the light flicker just a little bit, so I would know, like, you're there. And I sat in that window all night waiting for that light to flicker. A couple times I thought I saw it flicker, but it wasn't really. But I ended up falling asleep. And then I woke up with this idea that the light didn't flicker, but I felt something that I still can't fully explain, but I really didn't know how to explain at the time. And so what it was I just kept crying, and then I couldn't stop. And my mother was like, "You've been walking around here crying all day. Why are you crying?" And I was about 13. And I said, I don't know. It just feels like I'm sorry for every bad thing that I've ever done. That's how it feels. And it was so overwhelming. Now I'm older. I realized that was the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit will make you convict you in that way. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know what was going on. So anyway, after that, I had some idea like, okay, something is going on. And so I would just sit in that window and start asking the questions that I had. I didn't know if anybody was listening. Nobody was talking back. But over time, I started to get answers to those questions. Sometimes they would come from other people. Sometimes they would just pop into my head. Sometimes I would be watching something. And at first you think it's just a coincidence, but it kept happening. And I finally put it together. I think God is answering my questions. And so that is how my relationship with God started. I had never read a Bible. I wasn't thinking about the Bible. I wasn't really that focused on Jesus, to be honest. I just was seeking answers. And I told God, I said, I don't care what you tell me. As long as it's the truth, I will accept it. I just want to know the truth because I don't understand any of this stuff that's going on. And so because of that, because my heart was open, because I was just really seeking the truth, and I was seeking in general, God was able to get to me through that. He was able to communicate with me. Now, over time, and I'll even say years, God started pointing me towards the Bible, telling me to read the Bible, telling me to go to church and things like that. And so that is how my relationship with God began. So I always tell people, even of different religions, put the religion aside and just seek God. Like sometimes that stuff, even the Bible for some people can be a distraction because you're so focused on the rules, you're so focused on the words, you're so focused on trying to do this thing right that you don't pay attention to something that you pointed out is the relationship. And so sometimes you just need to put it aside, put the books aside, put the teachings aside, open your heart and just communicate with the being that created the universe. He can direct you where he wants you to go from there if you're genuinely seeking the truth. So if you're studying a specific religion or something, and I tell people, if the actual God who loved you and created you told you that's not the right religion, would you listen? Don't get so attached to that stuff that you lose communication with the actual creator. So I know I'm talking for a long time, so sorry about that. But that's how I came to God. And so I have some principles that I use in my Christian walk all the time, even communicating with people about getting to the basis of truth and just you and God, and all the other stuff just kind of accentuates that relationship. So what is your thoughts about my own experience?
That's a good experience. And said you did the first thing that most people don't do. You opened the line of communication. Now you had your own expectations there. Make the light flicker.
Yeah.
It's not gonna do what you wanted. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. No tricks here, no magic tricks.
We're not doing any of that. No, it's not gonna be, I'm not gonna do all this. But a lot of people think that way.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, okay, God, if you're real, do this and do that. I don't work on your time. That's the first thing you learn about him is I don't work on your time.
Yeah.
If that was the case, I'd be out here doing all kinds of stuff every day. That's right. Like, but you got to understand, it's as simple as the child-parent relationship. Where you're the child and you're seeking answers, you can't tell your parent how to give them to you. Yeah. It's just like, okay, I'm hungry. I got that part. Well, I want this. And then ask you what you want. You're going to have this. Right. Because I know better.
Right. That's exactly.
I know better than you do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it to you in a way you may not expect, a way that may seem totally unorthodox to you, because at the end of the day, I want you to understand that this is not you. This is not you doing this. This is me. This is something totally different. And then when other people see it happening around you, you can't say, "Oh, I did that." No, no, you didn't do that. And it comes from different ways. And one thing I learned is that God will bring people into your life. They may seem strange. They may seem weird. You may have people walk up to you and say things like, hey, God told me to tell you this.
Mm.
But that's a bit extreme, because when
Yeah.
people coming to you, it's not gonna sit well with you, and you're not gonna adhere to advice. But if you have somebody that you love and respect that comes to you and said, listen, there's been something weighing on my heart,
Mm.
and I don't know what this message is for. I don't know where it's coming from, but here it is.
Mm.
You've had programs that you watching where it seems like they're talking just to you.
Mm.
You watch this program every other time.
Right.
But for today, everything that they're saying is coming exactly to you,
Mm.
because this is how the spirit moves,
Mm.
and you
Mm.
respect it and you take it, you
Mm.
adhere to it. We've been sitting in, like, if you're sitting in the church, and this is why I wrote the movie Father's Pride, because things like this happen.
Mm.
We're sitting there, and it seems like the pastor's talking only to you.
Mm.
We've had these experiences.
Mm.
People getting into the walk. That's how it feels. And
Yeah.
the first thing you feel like doing is running and getting
Yeah.
out, because
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's happening.
Mm.
Then you get people who come to you with a testimony, who tell you their life. And that thing is the thing that changes you, because you're like, wow, I'm going through a similar situation. And if they can get through it and they're doing it that way, let me try it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You start asking questions, and you getting random things that are you reading passages from a book that has nothing to do with religion, but it's something that sticks out to you. A
Yeah.
quote that you may hear, a lyric of a song. God can use anything to
Yeah.
touch you.
He can, and I think one key thing, and again, the Bible talks about this. Your heart has to be open, and that's what seeking does. When you're seeking, you're opening your heart, you're opening your mind to different ways of seeing things. And so, if your heart is not open, like you say, those times where people might say something, you might watch something, you'll miss it because your heart is not open. So God has to get you to a place where, when he wants to communicate with you, he can, because he's given us a powerful thing, our mind. And if we're not looking for him, we're not going to find him. It's just like, have you ever lost something and it's right in front of your face, but you just don't see it for whatever reason, because your mind is, oh, I left it in the car, whatever, but it's right there. So your mind has to be in a place, your heart has to be in a place to see him so that he can communicate with you. And that's something that's why I say, sometimes you have to put your religious beliefs, what you were raised with, you have to put that stuff to the side and say, whatever it takes for me to communicate with the being that created me, I'm willing to sacrifice all of it. I just want to know you. I want to figure out who you are. And that makes your mind and your heart open to say, okay, now I can reach you. Now, if I talk to you, you'll hear me. But so many people, and I know you will agree with this, so many people come to God or seek with a closed mind, with a closed heart. They expect stuff to happen a certain way. They expect for things to come a certain way. And when they don't, they shut down. Like for me, if I had just been like, okay, make the light flicker, and then I say, okay, you didn't make the light flicker, so God is not real, and just went on my life with that, I would have never come into the many, many experiences that I had later. So I think it's very, very key. And if you get nothing else out of this program, for those who are watching, get this: you have to come to God with an open heart and open mind, willing to sacrifice any belief or anything you're attached to, any religion, if it means you're going to be in contact with the actual creator of the universe. Forget religion. The person who created you, the trees, the moons, the stars, the animals, the mosquitoes that we all hate. So somebody created all of this stuff, and I want to communicate with that person. So that's very important, very, very important. Another thing that I want to, there's two things I want to kind of touch on before we wrap up, and one is that void. So we all have it, like you said, and we all come to God wanting that void, those voids to be fulfilled, even if they're like physical things, like we want a certain career and things like that. We all kind of have this expectation of God. And when we don't get them, sometimes that can, deter us away from God. But that's one of the key things that I would say is what kind of sold me on Christianity, so to speak, because over time, it did not happen quickly by any means, but over time, those different things that were voids were in me, I started to see that they were being filled. I started to see, now when I tried weed or, whatever, men, nothing ever satisfied that. It just kind of numbs it and make you forget about it a little bit, but it doesn't fulfill it. But with my relationship with God, all of those different things, the hurts, the struggles, all those things started to gradually be fulfilled. And that was the thing that made me like, okay, I'm in the right place. Because nothing else in life has done this for me. But so I must be in the right place now because I've never had this type of fulfillment before. What is your experience with that?
Like you said, with the seeking part, just coming in and out, going through different religions and trying to find where you fit, trying to find an identity of where you fit. My biggest thing was like, I always heard people saying they would bash the Bible, they would bash Christ and the religion and everything. And I'm like, why is everybody so against this?
Yeah.
Never really made that much sense to me. I've heard they're like, remember somebody told me that there were 16 different stories that are the same as Christ and his birth. It's like, there are many, many, many different stories. I'm like, I get that. There are many stories that have been told over the years that are older than the birth of Christ story and everything that we have in the Bible. But my thing is, why is it that you're just trying to discredit this one?
Yeah.
I don't hear the attacks on Osiris and Horus. I don't hear that. I don't hear the attacks on Muhammad and his being a prophet and all that stuff. I don't hear that. But for some strange reason, there's always an attack that's heavy. You're trying to discredit the name. You're trying to discredit who he is. You're trying to discredit all that stuff.
Look, we even use his name as a cuss word. Who else? What other religion, their leader's name is used as a cuss word?
It's always something. But I always ask, well, why is that? It's kind of like when they tell you, don't play with those kids over there. It's going to pique your curiosity. You're like, well, why not?
Right.
I wanted to know why. And so when I started diving into the Bible and figuring things out for myself, listening to different people and different teachers that point you in a direction, then you start seeing things for yourself. You start getting an understanding through the reading of the word, through prayer and fasting, and getting an understanding that everybody's going to be against certain things. But what fit is it for you? When I have a relationship with a person, if I know this person and how they think and how they move, you can't tell me too much about them. You can try to discredit them all you want to, but you say, well, so-and-so was doing this the other day. No, they wasn't, because I was with them.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Right.
You can't put that on them because I was right there. I'm with them.
Yeah.
And experience trumps everything. You can have all the book smarts in the world. You can have, it sounds good, because I know a lot of 5% of brothers who are excellent at breaking down different, and it sounds incredible. But at the end of the day, how much does it mean to you?
Well, I would even go so far as to say this, and I guess this is a question, because if you dabbled in all this other stuff and then you kind of settled on Bible Christianity, it seems to me that there was a change in you that you didn't get when you were doing the other stuff. Would you say that that's the truth? And even when I talk about fulfilling voice, you can narrow it down to change, because even me, I've changed in ways that I never thought I would be able to do. And so that change, and I think it goes like the scripture that says, taste and see that the Lord is good. That change is like, what is this? Like, I'm changing and it's good,
Yeah. And the thing about that too is, when I watched other brothers who would, come to me and tell me this is this and this is that, they were the same person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were still doing the same stuff. A lot of brothers got a lot of their religion from prison. But you're the same guy. You're still out here committing crimes. You're still doing the same things. You're getting high. You're still doing, you haven't changed. You have others who have changed.
Mm.
And like I told you, you want to see where you are, put you in a tight situation, then that comes right back out.
Exactly.
But when you're in a situation and you've had an experience with Christ, you change, you think differently. That's
Yeah.
why it says, the Bible tells you, take on the mind of Christ, not
Mm. Mm.
yours.
Mm.
Yours is going to lead you to emotion.
Yeah.
When you have the mind of Christ and you get that understanding, you start moving differently. You think differently. Things that bothered you at a certain point in your life that would make you upset don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are more tolerant of people. We
Yeah.
are all given a lot of grace girls in life.
Mm.
And you're like, your patience level becomes a lot more than what it once was. You
Mm.
move and you're more giving of yourself and your things than you are because you're attached to a source now.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's totally different. And it's telling you, like, listen, I got you. I don't
Mm.
run out. My supply never runs out.
Mm.
No
Mm.
matter what it is that you want from me, my supply is endless. It's like I heard this example before, going to the ocean with a bucket, and every time you scoop water out, it does absolutely nothing.
Mm.
It doesn't change the ocean. It doesn't do anything. You can load the biggest ships and fill it. It doesn't change it.
Right.
No dent that's left. There's nothing lacking or anything like that. That's how God is.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So Angela commented and she said, which I'll put it up again. She said, when my heart was broken, I would ask God to help me and he would heal my heart. I'm assuming she's saying in that moment. And so, and I think that's a big thing. Like, even with, some of the examples you've given is that just the change that you go through and how your the way you think change, the way you see things change, you become more patient, you become more tolerant. Like, those things are undeniable and they're personal. They're not like, somebody else. It lets you know that there's something going on here, that if you're even aware of yourself a little bit, that it's not you. That it's not you. And so I think that those are the building blocks to where your relationship, which is another thing I want to point, with God starts to build, because you kind of see that somebody's helping you. Something is helping me, and I'm having a relationship with that person. Like, just imagine in life, if you have somebody who is always helping you do stuff, and it's helping you become a better person. It's fulfilling voids in you. It's healing hurts in you. You'll start to gravitate towards that person and have a love for them, in relationship with them based on those things. And that's kind of what I want to segue into is relationship, because a lot of religions give you a set of rules, and we know that that's what religion is. It's like, think like this, live like this, do like this, so that God can accept you. But the difference with Christianity is that there's a relationship, and it's much different from religion. And I actually don't even like to use the word religion when it comes to Christianity, even though I know that's how people see it, because that's not what it is to me. It's a relationship with my creator. And that relationship is significantly, it's specific to Christianity in a lot of ways, to actually have a relationship with your creator, and that you're not necessarily trying to work to win his approval and want him to approve of you when you die or go to whatever place after you die. But no, I have a relationship with the person, with the being that created me, and we walk through life together, and he helps me and I help him do some stuff on earth here too. And that's our relationship. So can you talk a little bit about your understanding, especially with the experience that you've had with other religions, the idea of relationship versus just a set of beliefs or a set of rules and things like that?
Well, the first thing I wanted to point out that you touched on is that there are levels in this walk, just like everything else in life. There are different levels.
Yeah.
When you first come in, like you said, we are like babes. The Bible tells you we are like babes. You get the milk because you're not ready for anything else.
Yeah.
And that's like the joyous point when God is just proving himself to you.
Yeah, showing you
Hey, God, I need this. He's going to show you his goodness. That's what you want. You get that goodness. But then as I want to mature you. The only way, I can't keep spoiling you. You're going to have to learn lessons. So any good father is going to let you go through certain trials. But understand that I'm always here with you. I'm always here for you. And I'm doing this for the greater good. So a lot of us get into this defeated place where we sitting here, oh Lord, why me? Why this? Why that? When you should be asking, what is your will? What are you trying to show me?
What are you trying
to teach me? Because you're trying to move me to another level. You're trying to elevate me. This is like school. You're being promoted. And this is the test that's right before you. I need you to get this so I can give you these things I have over here.
Yeah.
If you can't get this, you'll never appreciate what I have for you over here. And you'll ruin it. So I'm not going to let you do that.
Yeah.
So I need to elevate you. And this is when we start getting into the meat. When you get into that meat area, this is when you start to get an understanding of how God really thinks, how he sees things. What is my purpose here? You start asking questions like that. What am I supposed to be doing? How am I helping you? How am I bringing glory to your kingdom? I know you didn't put me here and you're not giving me all these things in this life and being good to me for just nothing. I'm being good. He's being good to you so you can show that goodness to other people.
Yeah.
So you can be that example of how good he really is.
Yeah.
You can't have a testimony if you've never been tested.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So how can you relate to other people? There are people that you'd be able to speak to that I could never reach. There are people that I'd be able to speak to that you could never reach.
Yeah.
But if you're not equipped and in the proper positioning to be able to speak to them, it's like, okay, you've really messed up my purpose here. You're messing things up. And what people don't understand is this. The longer you delay these processes and keep going through certain things, you're ruining a cycle here. I need you to get this so I can put you here because there's somebody out here who's praying that's in need of something and you're the answer. But if you can't get to that point, I can't use you. Now I got to go around you and somebody else. So what purpose do you have for me now? We're breaking cycles. Remember, everything that God is doing now is based upon man's dominion and man utilizing men. And men, when I say men, I mean men and women.
Yeah.
Do different things. If you need money, it's not going to just drop right there on the floor in front of you. That doesn't work like that. People sow into your life. You go out, you sow into someone else's life, and then it comes back to you. While other people, you've had this, I know you've had it, where people are saying, hey, I see what you're doing over here, and I like it. It's inspiring to me. I just want to donate this to you. I just want to help you. Or they'll just come to you. It might not even be monetary. It may be just a connection that you needed. And they say, listen, I see what you're doing here, but I can help you take it here. Because I know this person, that person, and the third person. That's more than any money could have ever done for you. That connection right there. And it's not a connection that you got on your own. It's because God worked on you. Got you right. And that energy that you're putting out, because they see him in you. And they're like, I want to be a part of that.
Right.
I like what that's doing over there. You ever had people who just, you know what, I like you.
Yeah, of course.
The street terminology, guys will walk up to you and be like, I F with you.
Yeah.
Because they get that energy, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of energy. It's not me that they see. It's who's inside of me that they see.
Right.
They can't explain it. They can't put their finger on it, but they just know it's something about you. Right. It's not me.
It's something about Mr. Burroughs. Yeah.
No. Forget about Mr. Burroughs. Let me tell you about who it really is.
Exactly.
That's when you get to be able to let it all out and give that testimony and tell them about Christ, because you're not beating them in the head.
Yeah.
With it. You're not, you got to do this and go to heaven, and this, you're going to hell. You're not doing that. You're just saying, hey, he changed me, made me like this, got me to be able to have the energy that can get your attention. let me show you what he can do for you, because he doesn't respect a person. If he can do it for me, he can do it for you.
Yeah, you just gotta want it.
You just gotta want it. Just taste and see.
Yeah. And I want to make a comment real quick about I'm not just talking about men, I'm talking about women too. Women are men. The word men is in women.
Man
we just a wombed man. We just have a womb. That's the only difference. Right. But so like sometimes when we get so caught up in, oh, it's just men. No, we are men too. We are human beings, but we're just man with a womb. That's it. That's it. So
great way to put it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of stuff. Relationships with even human beings are complicated. And I wish I could say relationship with God is very, very simple and easy. On his end, I'm sure it is. But for us, because we ignorant, because we, got our own motives and stuff like that, it can be very, very complicated. But when you see that somebody has a genuine love for you and is helping you and is teaching you and is guiding you little by little, even sometimes we don't even halfway pay attention like you should, you begin to develop a love for them that helps to sustain you as you're growing in the relationship. And it's the same for any relationship. Like, and sometimes we gravitate away from that, especially kids when it comes to their parents and things like that. But the relationship with God it grows. It has to be grown. It's not something that's going to be instant. Like Mr. Burroughs mentioned, I'm not doing no magic tricks for you so you can believe in me. You just have to have an open heart, an open mind, just understanding, okay, I think something created all this stuff that's here. And I think people who think that there's no God, I think they are slightly insane, because there's no the world is magnificent. Like, there's no way. And it's very detailed. How can you say that something didn't create this, whether it's a Christian God or whatever? Something created this. And then I've heard people say, well, it just seemed like a fairy tale, like, and I say, well, we are living on a rock that's floating in a very dark place. We don't like, that's some kind of fairy tale-ish too. So if you can understand that just our existence in and of itself is very, very miraculous. Like, why are we even on this thing that's floating and spinning, and we just happen to be the perfect distance from the sun, or where we don't freeze or burn up? And it's just a lot of stuff. There's a God, so just throw it out there. But we have to grow our relationship with God, and we have to seek him. We have to want to have a relationship with him, and he wants that as well, but he lets you choose if you want to seek him or not. So I would say, for anybody who is questioning if Christianity is right religion, stop looking at Christianity. Just say, something created me, something created this world. I want to know that being. So I'm going to try to connect with him and just start from there. Even people who are Christians, sometimes we need some reminders that it's God is bigger than the Bible. I say it all the time, and some people act like I've committed blasphemy when I say that. If all of God was in the Bible, it would be endless and a billion pages. God is bigger than the Bible. The Bible is just little pieces of insight into who he is. And that's enough for us to kind of grab a hold to him for ourselves and start developing that relationship to get to know him more. And so just try to be in tune with your creator, talk to him, be honest with him, open your heart, open your mind, and see where it goes. If you really want to know what is the truth, what is actually the truth, I would say that's where you should start. What would you say?
I say, like the word says, don't harden your heart in the day of visitation.
And can you explain that?
You could be missing out on one of the greatest experiences of all time. It's just like when you're out and about, right? Your significant other could walk right past you, but you're paying attention to the sneakers in the window.
Yeah.
When you're seeking, you're open to opportunities.
Yeah.
If you're holding on to one thing, you're closed. So open yourself up, do your own research, your own study, and find out things for yourself. And you will have relationships trump book smarts every single day.
Amen.
I don't care what anybody says. Person who has an experience can give you much more than any book that's been written. But you got to remember, the books that have been written are usually somebody's experience.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
have to go through it before you can
Yeah.
write it down.
Yeah.
So keep seeking, you'll find it. You're
Yeah.
gonna find your right fit.
Amen. Amen. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap up here, and I thank you once again, Mr. Burroughs, for joining me today. I always like talking to you. I have a comment. Okay, this is Angela also said I agree, and you have to be completely open. Yes, you do.
Yes,
You definitely have to be open enough to hear, and so let's, because I want people to understand that God will meet you where you are. So even if you come to him and say you're bruised and you kind of lack trust, but you're not completely open, as long as you're open enough for him to be able to communicate with you, that's where he can work with that. So
can I piggyback off that real quick?
Oh, sure. Go right ahead.
That's the perfect thing right there.
Yeah.
God will meet you where you are, no matter what condition you're in. You can be bruised, battered, disheveled. You could be living an alternative lifestyle. Don't allow the church to push you outward. You can find a place that's with you, that is accepting, but they're not going to let you stay there. You can't stay there. If you've had a true experience with Christ, you're going to change. You have to change. There's no way on the face of this earth that you deem it possible to have an experience and still live the same way.
Yeah.
Anybody who you know that's in the church that's like that, I question their salvation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just like whoever you hang around the most. Don't you start becoming like the person, copying the person. Anytime you have a relationship with somebody, that their relationship is going to change you. And the good thing about God is that it always changes you for the better, and it changes you in ways that sometimes you didn't even know you needed to change. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so let's wrap up here. Again, thank you. I'm sure I'll probably have you back again at some point. You guys, and let everybody know where they can find you. I know you do your posts on Instagram. Just let people know a little bit more about you, where they can buy your book and things like that before we wrap up.
So once again, the book is called Porn, The Truth, the Whole Truth, and Nothing But the Truth, which is available on Amazon, BarnesandNobles.com, Google.com, and iTunes. If you would like an autograph signed copy, you can also DM me at Bullet or the Bible on IG, where I also do a podcast called Truth Talk every Wednesday at 7:30. I am taking a hiatus until September, so catch me again in September. I'm going to change a couple of things and talk about a lot more truth. You may like it, you may not, but it's true. Also, I have a couple of movies out. Second Chance, a movie that I wrote, is on Amazon Prime, as well as King of Newark 2, which is on Tubi TV. And we should be getting more things up on some other streaming services, working on that right now.
Okay. Wow. You got a lot going on too. So,
yeah.
All right. So thank you guys for tuning in. Tune in another 2 weeks where I will be discussing spiritual warfare. We all need to have this discussion. So then that's in 2 weeks. So make sure you tune in for that. And of course, don't forget to like, follow, share, follow me, follow Mr. Burroughs. And also you can download and watch replays of my show on all Apple Store, Google Store. Download the app, the Entertainment Theater, to watch me and other podcasts and independent creators. So thank you so much, you guys. Be blessed, and you have a good day. Have a good weekend. Bye.